How you doing? Act like you're doing better than that. How you doing? Glad to see your smiley faces. Ooh, it's hot in here. It's y'all black folks. You know y'all draw heat. Whew. Been outside a couple of times, now the sun is whipping me. But that's all right. We're not gonna complain because it could snow next week. So we're gonna love this heat while we at it. So everybody's okay? Let's grab some seats and kiss and hug later. Everybody been okay? A happy belated Mother's Day to your mothers and grandmothers and mamas and moms and meemaws and all the names that we give our loved ones. Happy, happy. I hope you had a wonderful time. Good thing I don't have kids. Yeah. I got money, not kids. We're really glad to see you here. Thank you so much for spending this evening with us, because there are probably many other places now that the weather has changed you could be. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. Anybody got anything they want to tell me before we start this show? You know, I love secrets, but you all won't give them up for nothing. Anybody got anything they'd like to share? I'm not going to tell. Okay, you're going to continue to be quiet. So, okay, we're going to make the show move along and get started. We got people coming in still? We good? All right, let's make this happen.
I see you looking at me. I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me, and I really want you to get close to me. So would you dance with me? Dance with me. Got drop tops in the parking lot, and I'm gonna take you back to my spot. But we still got a little more time to rock. So would you dance with me? Dance with me.
I see you over there, just chilling with your girlfriends. Can't believe you're by yourself. You should be with me, chilling with me, drinking with me, freaking with me. Oh.
I see you looking at me. I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me,
baby.
Get close to me. So would you dance with me?
Dance with me.
Drop tops in the parking lot, and I'm gonna take you back to my spot. But we still got a little time to rock. So would you dance with me?
Everybody sing along.
If you're sexy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're sexy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're sexy and you know it, and you really wanna show it. If you're sexy and you know it, clap your hands. Yeah.
And I see you looking at me. I can tell in your eyes that you feel me, and I really want you to get close to me. So would you dance with me? Dance with me. Drop tops in the parking lot, and I'm gonna take you back to my spot. But we still got a little more time to rock. So would you dance with me? Dance with me. I see you looking at me. I can tell by your eyes that you're feeling me, and I really want you to get close to me. So would you dance with me? Dance with me. Drop tops in the parking lot, and I'm gonna take you back to my spot. But we still got a little more time to rock. So would you dance with me? Dance with me.
These are the wonderful dancers of the Renaissance High School Dance Workshop. Under the direction of Miss Rosalind Leith, who has been just a wonderful, has been able to carry on the legacy of dance at Renaissance High School. This piece was choreographed by Kennedy Phelps, who was one of my students when I taught at Renaissance. So let's give them another round of applause. All right, and without further ado, not going to delay this, let me introduce our host for this evening and every evening, Ms. Satori Shakoor. Oh, okay. We casual tonight. I love it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and human beings. Doesn't Gina do a fantastic job of curating these young people, exposing their talent? Yeah, so let's have one more round of applause for the Renaissance High School Dance Workshop. So happy Mother's Day, Grandmother's Day. If you're a mom, a grandma, great-grandma, please stand up. It's not easy birthing babies. Miss Charlotte. If you are a mother figure, which means a teacher who takes care of the kids, who is that auntie, is that lady in the neighborhood that makes sure you take your butt home when you're supposed to take your butt home. Stand up. Yes, 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 yes. We need you. We need each and every one of you. You're raising the future. We welcome to the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers. We have a global mission to connect humanity, heal and transform community, and to provide an uplifting, thought-provoking, soul-cleansing entertainment experience through the art and craft of storytelling, one story at a time. We believe storytelling, like organic fruits and vegetables, is organic healing and transformation in community. And not only are we developing storytellers and stories, we're developing listeners, which is you, the soulmate of the storyteller, the story listener. Because without your ears, without your attention, these stories would just fizzle out. Your listening grants being to the experiences of other people. It's a generosity. It's a human kindness. Listening is a revolutionary act. And at the highest level, listening is love. So if you just sit in your seats this evening and do the service of listening to these 4 fantastic stories of unconventional mamas, we thank you for that, just for that. And we thank you for coming tonight because you could be anywhere in Detroit. We have so many things going on. We have the draft, which got record numbers. We have all kind of stuff going on downtown, uptown, east side, west side. So for you to come here, this is a specific form of entertainment. And we thank you. Yes. If you're from Wayne County, make some noise. Oakland, Macomb, Washtenaw. Oh, what's so funny about Washtenaw? If you're, did I forget a town? Did I forget a, huh? Livingston. That's all right, Livingston, represent. Okay, let's go out of state. Let's take a little trip. You say Tennessee? Oh, Genesee, okay. Let's drive on back on into Michigan. Let's hear some noise from Genesee. Y'all made us drive all the way back to Detroit. So y'all could go, Okay. Out of state, anybody visiting from out of state? Where are you from? Washington, D.C., all right. They giving us hell up in Congress, ain't they? No comment, why? You in Congress? It's okay then, this is the secret society. Your secret is safe in here. I like seeing 2 women go at it in Congress. I mean, we're full of anxiety all globally. We need that release. Oh, but the names. Don't say nothing about a black woman's eyelashes. You're going to get 4, 5 names back. We've been trained in the dozens at the need. Okay, all right. But thank you for coming from D.C. Anybody else from out of state? Okay, California, Atlanta, Georgia, Cameroon. Did you? Now, okay. That's a long way, but hey, welcome. Thank you for finding your way. Anybody from? I didn't hear that. Ontario, yay, another country. Oh, Nigeria, even further away. Thank you for being here, Nigeria. Any other countries, states, villages? Warren? You're from Warren, Michigan? Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking that trip cross Avon. The only way I go to Warren is for the resale shop. I'll go anywhere for a resale shop. All right. Anybody here for the first time, never been to a secret society, Twisted Storytellers? Oh, come on, stand up. Let's see who you are. Come on. Woo! Thank you so much. For those who come, what do you call new timers? You regulating the virgins? See how they always want to control things? Are you a virgin, sir? Yes. And you're a virgin, sir? Oh, that's your daughter. Okay, well, this time, everybody's going to walk out with their hyphen intact. I know that the first time was probably really good for you, sir. You were just happy to be in the room. And I'm glad you're here to support your daughter. We need fathers. You want your money back? You want your money back with her? You did a good job. Oh, Well, I want you to come back next month when the dads talk, okay? Honor thy father next month. Maybe you want to tell a story. I'm scared to give you a mic. You on fire. All right. So here's a little bit of instruction for the audience. Now, I'm going to introduce each storyteller by way of a question. So when I, introduce a question, I want y'all to go crazy. Like y'all at Ford Field. Like y'all paid for those box tickets. And the Lions are winning like they supposed to. And you making that needle go all the way to 200. Okay? Because the more encouragement you give the storyteller, the more relaxed they are, the more forthcoming they are. You benefit from their stories, and they benefit from your listening, okay? Now, did I forget anything? Did anybody engage to be married? Oh, congratulations. Congratulations. Is this your first marriage? No? Good. I'm glad the training wheels are off. You're a lucky man, sir. Anybody here celebrating a birthday? Oh, we've never had that before. What about divorces? I saw a hand sneak up. It's all right. It's all right to get divorced. You can get married again. All right. May 25th, all right, happy birthday. Come on down. Oh, how you doing, Michelle? Good, well, you're late. Oh, y'all late. Come right to the front row like we want to let y'all know. But this is my friend here. Well, you've been out of the country. You look like you got a tan. Yeah, where did you go? All right. Okay, COVID is over. All right. So you ready for your first storyteller? Yes. All right. You know what to do. So I ask our first storyteller, What makes you unconventional? She says, I'm unconventional because I have the faith to do it with my son, even when the world says I can't. Put your hands together for Key Glover.
It was the summer of 2013. I was at the height of my career. I mean, I was traveling, doing things. I was with a multi-million-dollar hair company, and I was making money. I was having fun. I was living my best life. You hear me? My best life. But I knew something was a little off in my body. I kept having this little feeling. I said, oh, goodness, I don't want that feeling. So I started to keep ignoring it and avoiding it. And one day I was leaving my condo in Atlanta, and I went to turn and close my door, and I noticed that my grandmother was sitting on my couch. I had a vision of her. And she had a red light around her. And she turned and she smiled and she said, you know you're pregnant. I said, I shut that door. I said, the devil is a liar. I jumped in my car, but I knew that the devil wasn't a liar. I knew that I was pregnant again. This will be my third pregnancy. See, I lost 2 pregnancies before, and that's why I was scared. I was afraid. I didn't want to do it again. I didn't want to face those places again. So I went on about my day, and then the next day, I was closing up my shop, and a voice came to me as I'm locking up my door, and it says, you need to go get a pregnancy test. I said, all right, God, we're going to go get a pregnancy test. I'll head to CVS and I get that pregnancy test. I just don't get 1, I get 2, because I need to confirm a thing. I'm just that type of person, I am. I get to the bathroom, and that first pregnancy test came back positive. I said, okay, yep. And I'm sitting on the toilet and I said, let me pee on this next stick. And it came back more positive than the first one. I said, okay, Jesus. I called my sister here in Detroit and I say, Sissy, she said, what? Are you pregnant? I said, yes. And she screamed, you would have heard her all those 900 miles away. And I said, I don't want to do this like this. And she said, you fine, what you mean? We got this, we can do this. And she was just trying to encourage me. And I'm just like, no, I don't want to do this like this. I don't want to be a single mother. I just don't. I despise it. That's just me. I don't want to do it alone because I don't believe that a child deserves to have to watch one parent struggle. That's just me. See, my mother was a single mama. And I didn't think I can compare it to that. See, my mother had a village. She had an impeccable village. They raised me. They helped her out. They allowed her to grow and me grow and us be. And I didn't know if I can provide that. And I was scared and I was afraid. And next thing you know, I'm like, oh God, and I'm pregnant by this guy. And I know who I'm pregnant by. And see, he wasn't a horrible guy. He was easy on the eyes. He was on my checklist. But only one little thing. He was a little unfaithful. And I knew it. So I got off the phone with my sister and I said, you know what, okay, God, let me do my due diligence because, see, this ain't my first pregnancy. And at this time, I'm 34 years old and I'm considered a geriatric pregnancy, which is crazy. So I'm high risk and I had avoided all those spaces. So now I have to go back where I had compartmentalized and talk to my doctor and go to my doctor. And then I have to make a checklist and I got to tell this guy that I'm pregnant. Then I got to tell my mama again. So I go to the doctor and we go through the things and he gives me a list and we get my pregnancy protocol and I'm good with that. I call my soon-to-be son's father and he is excited and he's happy and I'm like, okay, that's good. And I said, okay, call my mom. I'm going to take you to lunch. She said, okay. take her to lunch, and we're sitting there talking. I said, Mom, I got to tell you something. She said, what? I said, I'm pregnant. She said, oh. She said, by who? I said, Demetrius. She said, okay. Do he know? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, okay. She said, what you want to do? I said, I'm going to keep it. I want my baby. She said, okay, that's fine. We're going to do what we got to do. She said, you got a job, you got a career, you're fine. You're independent. I'm great. And we went on about that day. So fast forward, about 5.5 months pregnant. I'm still living my best life. I'm still having a good time. I'm still working, shaking, moving, grooving with this nice belly bump. And I go into the doctor's office, and the ultrasound tech is scanning over my belly, and she's asking me some very concerning questions that's having me a little frightened. And she said, the doctor talked to you when he comes back in. I said, okay. Doctor comes in, his face is more concerned than the nurse's face. And I said, what's going on? He said, Key, I need to do an exam because I need to make sure that you're okay and it's something I can fix. I said, fix? I'm pregnant. You can't fix me. He said, Key, calm down. He examines me quickly, and he lifts me back up, and the nurse is holding my hand. He said, Key, I'm about to admit you into the hospital. I said, okay, can I call my mama? He said, yeah, you call her when you get upstairs. I said, okay. I'm upstairs now, and the nurses and techs are scurrying around the room, making me comfortable, and it's this nurse standing next to me, and she says to me, she said, Key, life as you knew it, you have to let that go. She said, because the life that's in front of you, you need to embrace that. I began to cry. My mother and one of my cousins walk in, and they're being catering and all the things to me. And then it hits me. I am pregnant, and I'm by myself. I call my son's father, and he's there on the phone, but he's not there present with me. He never came. I successfully get through a surgery. They stitched up my cervix. It's called a cerclage to help me continue through my pregnancy, and it helped me. But it was 3 months of excruciating, emotional up and down and all type of things. And for 3 months, a friend of mine, she was a godsend. She drove 30 minutes to my parents' house because I lost everything and I was on mandatory bed rest and I couldn't do anything for myself. Now I'm dependent. And when she would come 30 minutes to come pick me up and drive another 40 minutes for me to get to the doctor and wait an hour and then drive me right back. She did this for 3.5 months for me. We shared conversations, we cried, we laughed, we vented, we went through so many places, and God began to show me my village. And I was grateful, but also I felt so burdened because how can I repay her for doing this for me? She became my sister. Her family became my extended family. Now it's time for me to have a baby, y'all. I'm laying in this hospital bed and I am going through labor, and my doctor comes in, he said, Key? I said, yes. He said, I am going to discharge you because you haven't dilated in the last 4 hours. I said, oh, sir, you're going to let me fucking stay. He was like, oh, okay. No, I'm not. He looked over at my mother and he looked back at me, and I was like, and I just went for it. And my mom was like, Key. I was like, I am in labor. I know what's going on. He said, Key, you're going to go home and you're going to be fine. He said, I didn't even know she cussed. He said, just send her back if the contractions get closer. We leave, me and my mom, and we're driving, and we stop off to the grocery store. I sit in the car. See, I have been texting and emailing and Skyping and any way form of communication to my son's father, let him know I'm in labor. And he finally calls back, but when he calls back, he is cussing me out. Why would you email him? Why would you do this? And we're going back and forth, and he said, I'm with somebody, and this is not. And I said, oh, now you want to be honest. I hang up the phone. Then I get another call. It's a female's voice, and she said, hi, did somebody call this number? I got a missed call. I said, yeah, I called this number, but I'm not looking for you. She said, well, who are you looking for? I said, Demetrius. She said, well, what you want with him? I said, who are you? She said, who are you? I said, well, I'm his baby mama soon to be. She said, well, I'm his fiance. I said, oh, this is funny. And we had a conversation. very short and brief. But at the end of the conversation, my mother's getting back in the car, and her and I hang up, and my mother takes a deep breath, and she gets really quiet because she does that before she has something impacting to say to you. And then she says, that woman ain't your friend. Listen to what I'm saying to you. She is not your friend. Only thing that y'all have in common is that y'all have children by the same man. She says, so whatever relationship that you and him have, you're not obligated to tell her anything. Don't get caught up in that, and don't get caught up in your emotions right now. She said, you're in labor. She said, now if you want to eventually have them to know each other, she said, you can when it's a time and a place, and God will make that place. She said, but learn from my experience. She said, your daddy had many children on me. She said, but I'm only a mother to you because those aren't my children. I'm not obligated to those other women. I'm obligated to you. She said, as you're obligated to the son that you're about to have. She said, it's you and him. That's it. And I said, yes, ma'am. 24 hours later, I had my baby. I told you I was in labor. As I'm holding my son in the hospital, Northside Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia, I began to pray again. And I asked God to forgive me for everything that may not have been aligned with the will of God for my life. I asked him to help me to forgive this man that I conceived this child with, because see, I do love him. I do like him. I don't like his ways, but I can't harbor this bitterness and this resentment and this anger and all this. I don't want to be a bitch, Lord. I want my son to be blessed. I want me to be blessed. I want to be able to teach him. So help me. And when he does come back to be the father in his life, I want him to apologize sincerely, and I want to know that it's from you, through him. A year later, I get a call from my son's father, and he is on. We just talking, as if nothing ever happened. And my stepbrother's sitting there, and he's like, "Who was you on the phone with?" I said, "Oh, that was, his father." What? Well, you acting like ain't nothing ever happened, and da-da-da. And I said, yeah, I guess that's what forgiveness looks like. We meet, and he explains himself, and at the end of the conversation, he said, I need to say something to you. And he apologized. And it was the most sincere apology I had ever gotten from him in all the 20 years I've known him. And I began to cry. And I accepted his apology. Now I have a 10-year-old big boy named Noah. He is the apple of my eye. He keeps me laughing. He doesn't know a stranger. He's smart, he's intelligent, and he is handsome. God restored my business back to me. I got 2 more multi-million-dollar companies that I worked for. And I'm grateful to say that his father's doing the best that he can. I thank you all for listening to my story.
Key Glover. I want to say congratulations, even though the baby is 10, Oh, my goodness. Ready for your next storyteller? All right, well, I asked our next storyteller, what makes you unconventional? And she said, when most people see red lights that will stop them from reaching their potential, I see green lights that challenge me to be the best version of me. Put your hands together, you know how to do it, for Latonya Garth.
was 1998. I was 16 years old in the 11th grade, and I loved to dance. I loved to dance so much that I would just go in the basement and I would just turn on my stereo. Oh, for the young people that's in the audience, a stereo is like your Bluetooth or your Alexa or your Siri. I would just get down there and I would dance. See, it was like my place of peace. I could just be there and wouldn't nobody bother me. Not even my dad that always seen the Temptations and would be loud. I didn't have to hear that. I was just in my own zone. But on my way in the basement, I would see my mama. She would be sitting right there at the kitchen table doing her street numbers, making that money. She was like a hood accountant. Every time I looked around, she'd saying her street numbers. So here I am, minding my business. But there was one thing about her I noticed. She had a cough. It was a very, very dry cough. See, I didn't think much of it because I was 16 with a 16-year-old mindset, so I didn't think it was anything going on. But then I started noticing a change in her eating habits. She didn't eat much, but when she did eat, it came right back up. I remember her and my dad, they would get ready to go out, and she would say, hold on, and then she would run to the garbage can, and she would throw up. So things didn't really start getting real for me until my sophomore year in college. Then I started spending a lot of time at Henry Ford Hospital, back and forth, back and forth. They ran some tests on my mother, and we found out that she was diagnosed with sarcoidosis. Now, sarcoidosis is a disease that attacks the organs in your body, and there's no cure for it. It's actually a disease that Bernie Mac had passed away from. And so it was just a roller coaster of different things. And so my sophomore year went on, and I ended up trying to decide what I was going to do. So it was just a lot. It was a lot. So I had to figure out what I was going to do because I didn't know. My mother was ill. I'm in school. I'm trying to figure this whole thing out. And at this time now, I'm in grad school. So I'm working for Michigan State University. I'm in grad school, and I am about to defend my thesis. The day before I was about to defend my thesis, I get a call from my family to come home. So I'm like, okay, let me go home. Let me see what's going on. But let me back this story up a little bit because this is my first time doing this. So let me back up because the symptoms got bad. The symptoms got really bad. So let me just talk a little bit about what the sarcoidosis did to my mother. The sarcoidosis first started in her lungs. So she had that dry cough. So the lymph nodes of her lungs had swollen up, and that's what was causing her to cough. The sarcoidosis then left her lungs and it traveled to her reproductive system, causing her to hemorrhage and have a total hysterectomy. It then left her reproductive system and it went to her brain. So she ended up having a cyst on her brain. So they had to go in and she had to have a brain surgery. The cyst that was in her brain, the doctors had to go in and they had to cut the cyst out of her brain. Once they saw that the cyst was cut out, they saw that the ventricles in her brain had swollen up. So they had to go back in and they had to drain the fluid out of her brain. She came back, and when she came from the brain surgery, her eyes had crossed. So they had to go back in and straighten her eyes back out. So can you imagine the amount of trauma that my mother had to go through just with this sarcoidosis? My mother had to learn how to walk, talk, and eat, and she didn't even remember who we were. But one thing I will say, she knew who my daddy was because that was her man. Okay, I'm sitting up here like taking pictures to the hospital like, hey, Ma, you remember me? She did not even know who I was, but when he walked in, oh, she knew who that light-skinned, handsome man was. So at this time, of course, it's stressful. Now I am in grad school, and I'm about to defend my thesis. So then I get a call from a family member to get to the hospital. I said, okay, so I'm on my way to the hospital. I get to Henry Ford, and my entire family is there. So I'm like, what the hell my whole family doing here for? Like, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? And so I find out that my mother, I had to walk into the room, and I saw her laying there in the hospital bed, and her face was twisted like a pretzel. She had experienced a massive stroke, which paralyzed her entire right side of her body, and she never recovered from it. And it was really, really difficult. Now, at that time, I'm like, okay, I'm an employee at this major university. I'm doing well. I'm traveling. I got to let this go because although I was an hour and 15 minutes away, it felt like I was 10 hours away, and I could not handle not being able to be close enough to my mother. So I resigned, and I came back home. Now, at this time, I'm 23 years old. And this is the time where I actually had an opportunity to spend some time with my mother, because she really couldn't do a whole lot, so I would go over and hang out with her. And we would have some really interesting conversations. One conversation, we were sitting in the kitchen, and she's sitting in her wheelchair, and so my dad had to do everything because he had the house with her. So she said, watch this. Michael! And he come running up the stairs. He said, what's up, baby? She said, make me a glass of ice water. And he said, now Tanya's sitting right there. Why you didn't ask her to make you a glass of ice water? And then she started laughing. And she said, motherfucker. Let me tell you something. When it came to my daddy, that was her word, motherfucker. And so we laugh and we laugh. Oh, he was pissed. And so we end up having another conversation. Now, this second conversation was when she was about to give up. And she asked me to come over, and we sitting there, and she always had me tell her a story. So she always said, baby, tell me a story. So I tell her a story. And then we start talking, and she said, you know what? I want my casket to be green. I said, okay. So she gave me all these arrangements, and then she had the nerve to give me some arrangements for my life. She says, I want you to go back to school and get your PhD, and then I want you to have a baby. I said, who? I ain't having no damn kids. Like, I'm married to the job. I ain't having no kids. Me? You want me to have a baby? Now, Mom, now look, I'll go back to school, but I ain't having no baby. She said, you selfish. You need at least one of your own. So I said, okay, conversation over. So a few weeks later, I go over. Now, this time I'm 30. I go over. I live 5 minutes away. I say, you know what? Let me go on over here and get this vacuum cleaner. Because I'm always going to their house borrowing stuff, tissue, groceries. It don't matter. When they not there, I'm taking stuff, just taking apple juice, whatever I see that I need. I just grocery shop there. Why do that? Why go to the store when you can just go to your parents' house, right? And so this time I say, I'm going to get me this vacuum cleaner. Let me start getting some appliances. So I say, Dad, Mom, can I use the vacuum cleaner? My dad, he like, yeah, go ahead. My mama like, no. And I'm like, well, damn, where'd that come from? She said, you're going to have to start learning how to do things on your own. And I said, well, what the hell would that come from? I said, you know what? I'm leaving. I didn't come over here for no drama. I'm getting out of here. So I'm walking off. I'm mad. Of course, I did not leave with the vacuum cleaner. Because although she was paralyzed, she would have got up and whooped my ass. Okay? So I ended up leaving without the vacuum cleaner. I said, you know what? I'm going to teach her a lesson. See, my mama, she used to call me every single day and say, I love you. And that next day, she called to tell me that she loved me. I didn't pick the phone up because I was pissed off because you wouldn't let me use the vacuum cleaner. So the following day, my nephew called, Auntie, get over here, it's Grandma. Get over here. I said, okay, I'm on my way. So I get in the car, I'm driving, and I get to the corner. I turn the car off, and I decide I'm going to run to the house because I'm going to get there faster running than I would driving. Now, why in the hell did I decide to do that? I ain't have on no bra. All three of us was running down the street. I get in the house, and my mother's laying there just out, laying there out. And I froze. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? I couldn't even open my mouth to say I love you. I couldn't. It just wouldn't come out. And I figured if I said I love you, she's going to wake up, and she didn't. So I heard the paramedics worker, he said, talking to his colleague, he said, her shallow is really, 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 really low. He said, her pulse is low. I said, So then he looked at me, he said, everything's going to be fine. He said, we're going to go ahead and just take her to the hospital. He said, so, take your time. He's like, don't run any red lights. I said, okay. So they went ahead and took her. So my father and I, we in the living room, just standing around, and I'm looking out the window. I'm like, dang, why are they taking so long to pull off? Like, what's going on? So they finally pull off, and I decide I'm going to go ahead and go to the hospital. So my dad, he like, all right, I'll see you in a minute. See, my mom, she had 9 lives, so we never thought anything would happen. We just going to the hospital, as normal, and she come out, and we good. So this time I get to the hospital, and my father, he wasn't there yet, but my oldest sister, she came. And we go into the St. John Hospital, and they had us go into the family room. So when they had us go into the family room, something didn't sit well in my spirit. And so the doctor comes in. He sits on the couch, And before he could open his mouth, I said, you can say the fluff talk. Is she dead? And he said, yeah, she passed on the way to the hospital. I said, okay. So then I called my godfather. I said, I got to get some support because when my father come, I don't know how he's going to receive this. So let me try to rally up some help. So here come my daddy walking in the hospital in his Michael Garth way. Where my woman at? So I walked up to my father and I grabbed him by his hands. I looked him in his eyes and I shook my head, no. He said, well, what do you mean, no? I said, Dad, she's not here anymore. She passed away. He said, what? No! He dropped to his knees, and all of the people that work at the hospital and the workers and the sick people that was in their rooms, they come out to find out what was going on. So then they escort us to the room where my mother was, and there she was, beautiful, laying there dead, turning cold. And I could feel it. And the snow was coming down in blankets. I look up in the window, and the snow was just coming down so thick. I've never seen snow that thick before. And then my family started coming in. Everybody started coming. And we had our services and everything. And I struggled with a lot of guilt and depression because I didn't answer the phone. That was a problem for me. I struggled with that. I struggled. And 4 months later, this would be the first time that I actually would have an event for my mother. I have a mentoring program for girls, and we have galas and events, and this would be the first time she wouldn't be there. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't even want to do it. But the night before, because I was restless, but the night before, I was able to get some sleep. And now I see why. So I had a dream. And in the dream, it was like these cots. Y'all know the little cots little kids lay on at daycare? And they're about to take a nap and the teachers get a break. Woo, them are the best naps. In the dream, there were deceased people laying on these cots. And your loved ones could come up and talk to the deceased. And so there my mother was laying on her cot. And I ran over to her and I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry, I love you, Mama, I'm sorry, I love you. And she didn't wake up. But all the other people was woke, so I'm like, why she didn't wake up for me? So I felt the way. Then she rose up and she looked at me and she said, you know that scripture in the Bible that said, train up a child in the way that he should go? I said, yeah. She said, you keep going. You keep going. And then she laid back down and she closed her eyes. My mother has not come back to me since in the dream. But let me tell you something, that dream was enough for me. It was enough. I didn't know I was going to become a single parent, but the dream prepared me for what I needed. See, she didn't have to leave me a financial inheritance. She gave me the dream, and it was enough for me. So any dreams that I have is enough for me. Anything that I go through in my life right now is enough for me. What she gave me was enough. That's the reason why I'm going to keep going. And it was the most powerful dream, and I realized that my mother is powerful. She's powerful. She was powerful on earth, and she's powerful in heaven. So powerful that at the age of 32, she got me pregnant. Now, I was hosting a conference, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'm just mentally exhausted because I'm doing a lot. I'm falling asleep while I'm driving. I'm like, okay, something ain't right here. I'm going to the doctor. I go to the doctor. She comes and she says, hey, I ran some additional tests, and I found out you was pregnant. I said, who? She said, you. I said, I'm what? So I had a fit. I'm kicking and screaming and crying because I ain't want to have no baby. I ain't even like this. I ain't like him. That's another story. That's another twisted story. But I didn't want to have no baby at the time. I ain't had no mama. You know, it was just too much going on in my world. And I was still in my selfish stage. And so my surprise of being pregnant turned into anger. And when I looked over, my doctor was in the corner. So that's how I was like, I'm what? Why didn't you tell me I was pregnant? I'm going off. And she said, I don't know. But you're pregnant. And your due date is February 21st. I said, what? That's the day my mama died. So I knew she had something to do with it. So then I go to my dad, I'm telling him, I'm crying. He like, yeah. I'm like, no. What? So either way, I ended up having a baby. And when I tell you my daughter's 10, And she's 10 years old, and she's a 40-year-old person. In fact, the other day I said, "You the only kid I got, and you make me feel like I got 10 kids." And she said, "Yeah, Mom, you're 42 and you act like you're 14. So this is what I deal with, right? So, I mean, she's the apple of my eye too. Amazing, but she act just like my mama. When my daughter thinking, she ball her forehead up. That's the same thing my mama did. My mother hated loud music. My daughter does not like loud music. My mother did not like attention. My daughter does not like attention. I mean, they are literally the same person, just different ages. And one is there and one is here. And I mean, I still got my unconventional mama. I still got my unconventional mother because my mother speaks to me. In fact, I just came from Costa Rica. And I went to Costa Rica and I went to a Transcend Your Trauma retreat because I needed to deal with my shit. I really did. And the part of the stuff that I struggled with was that whole situation about not answering the phone when my mother called me. And I had an opportunity to talk to a spiritual reader. And I mean, when I tell you I got delivered, I'm good. I feel great. We were able to kind of talk through some stuff. She tapped into my mom and she said, "What is it about the number 12? What is it about the number 12? I said, I don't know. She's like, "Is your daughter 12? I said, "No." She said, "Well, what?" I was like, "My mother passed away in 2012. She said, "Oh," she said, "That's the day when your mother died. That's when she met your daughter's soul." And I said, "Oh." She said, "Is your daughter maternal?" I said, "Yeah, she act just like her." She said, "It's kind of scary, ain't it?" I said, "Yeah, it's real scary." She said, "Don't let it freak you out." I said, "Okay." So I started telling her about the story when I went to the cemetery because my grandmother passed away 3 months after my mother died from a broken heart. And I took my daughter to the cemetery when she turned 3 years old. I said, "This is Grandma Sylvia. I want you to meet your grandmother. This is my mother." She stood up. I sat her down. She stood up and she said, "Can we go see Grandma?" My grandmother was 3 rows over on the other side. She pointed in the exact direction. I've never taken my daughter to the cemetery. So with stuff like that, I was explaining to the reader, and she said, "Well, let me just tell you really quick what your mother said to you." She said, "Your mom said, just go and get the damn vacuum." She said, "If your mother had a choice of vacuum cleaners, she would have a vacuum cleaner with the metal plate on it, and they don't even make the vacuum cleaners like they used to no more anyway." She said, "Your mom was something else." I said, "Yeah, she is." She said, "Your daddy's something else too." I said, "Yeah, he is a lot too." And so she said, "You know what?" She said, "Your mother said that you have not been walking this life alone and that she's with you every step of the way. So don't ever feel like you're by yourself. But you got to let that go. And you got to keep on going." And that's my story for all of you. Anything that you're dealing with, you keep going. Thank you for listening today.
Latonya Garth. Latonya has a book outside in the lobby, so if you want to check it out, please feel free. I have a real short story. Do you want to hear it before the break or after? Oh, now? Okay, it's real short. Okay, so I was living in Toronto in late 90s, 2000, right? And I would watch Oprah because it would come on twice in Toronto, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Well, this particular afternoon, she had Abigail and Brittany Hensel, and they're dicephalic conjoined twins. So they have the appearance of a person with 2 heads. That's how they look. They had separate hearts, separate lungs, but they shared a stomach and everything else. Their brains were separate, and one of the twins' brains worked the right side, and the other twin's brain worked the left side. Now, Oprah's interviewing the girls like they're Miley Cyrus. You know, like you see this every day. And I had never seen a human beings configured that way, so I became concerned. Like, what happens when they leave the warm lights of the studio and go out in the world? People are mean. They can be very cruel. And so I watched the second show, and I do a lot. I write to make myself feel better. I just write. So I decided, I gotta make myself feel better. So I decided to write a story about Pearl. And Pearl's a single mother living in Detroit. And she had 2 dicephalic conjoined twins named Raina and Dana. So she had been watching Oprah, and ever since the twins were 1, she started to prepare them for their first day of school. Is this your family too? You know Michelle? Now, Michelle is a psychologist. I hope you ain't late for your patients. You're driving them crazy. Well, are you part of the family too? They say, oh no, we ain't. Can I make you my twins? Okay, so you're Raina and you Dana. Raina, Dana, today your first day of school. Now, I know the first day of school is hard. It's hard for regular kids. What did I say regular is? Right. 1 head, 1 body. Y'all ain't regular. Y'all rare, unique, like child support payments. Now, everybody don't understand unique, like your Uncle Buster. First time he saw y'all, he had a stroke. Now his face is all twisted to one side, but that's not your fault. He didn't understand unique, and he didn't understand me when I told him not to bring his drunk ass over here drunk. Well, his ass is sober now. And thank Jesus he's an AA. Raina, did you brush your teeth? Girl, don't try me. I can tell by looking at Dana's face you didn't brush your teeth. Now go brush your teeth. What's the matter? What you mean Raina won't come? Girl, you better work your half of that body in that bathroom and brush your teeth. What'd I tell you about cooperation? You got to work together. Now, when you go to school, when you go out in the world, people going to be nasty. They're going to be mean. They're going to call you nasty names like freak, 2-headed monster, and worse. What I tell you to say to people who call you nasty names? That's right. You look them assholes dead in the eye and say, Rick James is my granddaddy. I'm a super freak. You know, thank y'all, that's what you do. Now, ain't nothing wrong with being freaky. Everybody freaky. There's some freaky you can see and some freaky you can't. But rest assured, we're all just whims of nature. Now, when you go to that school, don't let nobody tell you you can't. You can do whatever you want to if you put your mind to it. Put your mind to it. You can play tennis. Y'all can be doubles. You can be a dentist and a dental hygienist. You can be a couple of think tanks. You can be doctors. You won't even need to get a second opinion. But whatever y'all choose to do, remember 2 things. Mama loves you, and 2 heads better than 1. I'm silly. But Brittany and Abigail, they're adult women now. They're married. Each of them have a husband. Like I said, there's some freaky you can see. Some freaky you can't. Go to break. Don't see you when you get back. We're coming back with Ebony Jones, September Faison, and our musical guests. Thank you for listening.
I'm sitting here.
y'all got quiet like I was getting ready to say something. I love it. I was grooving. Well, how are we doing so far? All right, Satori was cracking on somebody down here. Were all of you late? You didn't know you was going to get called out, huh? That's what we saved the empty seats for, so we can get you. Okay, phones down, put them on vibrate. Only 2 people messed up, so I won't come for you. Get the phones down, please, okay? All right, let's do this. Oh, one more thing. Don't make me clean up afterwards, please. Your empty bottles and any trash that you have accumulated since you've been here, you're going to pass several receptacles on your way out of the door. Would you please, pretty please, pick them up for me? Now we can do this. Toes, honey. Oh, yeah, right. Don't make her shout. It's time. Because I can get down.
know why the singers always run off. Angela, come back. Angela, come back. Oh my goodness, thank you. This is Miss Angela Christina. I knew her in the stepping community. I had no idea that she could sing. Absolutely none. And my friend Bobby Green sent me a tape. I listened to it for about 15 seconds. I was like, give me your number. I must have her. So Angela has sung with Mosaic or worked with Mosaic, the Brazil Denard choir, who was Brazil Denard was just fabulous in Detroit with vocalists. The Mississippi Mass Choir, and with Bobby Rush. So let's thank Angela once again. Thank you. You're welcome. And here's Satori.
Angela Huff. When they were having technical difficulties, I was getting ready to blame it on your family, Michelle. Sorry. Okay. Ready for your next storyteller? All right, so I asked our next storyteller, what makes you unconventional? And she said, I create a world of love, learning, and curiosity with my children in a country that wants to murder them. Put your hands together, keep it going strong for Ebony Jones. Step right up.
Okay.
Is that a good height?
It was December 14th, 2012. I was sitting in my mother's living room. Pictures of Mansa Musa, Black inventors, great kings of Africa, and that Ernie Barnes portrait of good times graced my mother's living room walls. I was sitting there with my baby on my lap. We were flapping through the big Toys R Us book. I was looking at all the things I wanted him to have and all the things I could not afford. My mother was in the kitchen cooking and the TV was on. We were just really sitting in just this beautiful moment as we always did. I wasn't paying attention to the TV. Of course, I'm tuned into this book with my son. And then I hear breaking news come across the screen. So it catches my attention. I look up and I see on the news screen an aerial view. There were helicopters. It looks like it was a building. There were fire trucks, yellow tape, people running across the screen. The audio was so muffled, I couldn't pick up what was happening. I started to see children and parents holding and hugging. And then I finally hear the newscaster clearly say, mass shooting, Sandy Hook Elementary School. I'm sitting there with my baby on my lap. I feel the complete weight of him in that moment. I feel the complete weight of him in that moment. I see the target on him, the one because he's Black, and the one that we all wear because we're in America. And I sit and I think about one day he's gonna have to go to school. And I'm gonna send him into a place where he is not safe, where his body is not safe. And I was able to put it off for a moment. I started picking up little jobs. I could work a little bit and homeschool with them. And eventually, I knew that I wanted to gain more of my independence and move out of my mother's home. So he was gonna have to find somewhere to go. Luckily, I found a homeschool that was not too far from the house. It was a woman, and her name was Miss Paulette. She only kept 3 children, and she reminded me so much of my mother and really modeled an aspiration of the kind of mother that I wanted to be. And my baby was able to stay with her for 2 years. When my son, so this is when he was turning 4. So when he turned 5, I enrolled him in an all-black elementary school on the east side of Detroit. And when I would pull up to the school, I would see guards and administrators outside the school around the playground with bullhorns, yelling at the children and the parents, telling them they could not play on the playground. When I would pick him up from school, the guards were there yelling at the children and the parents, telling them they could not play on the playground. Now, contrastingly, I started working in Grosse Pointe, and my desk sat right outside of a window, and I could see an elementary school and a playground. And when I got to school at 8 a.m., I would see parents with their children, and they would be waiting on the bell to ring on the playground. At 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I would be eating my lunch, looking out this window, and I would see nannies and grandparents and mothers walking their children to the playground in the afternoon. I would leave from work sometimes 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6:30, and I would see parents still with their children in the same clothes after they got out of school on this playground. And so I went to my son's school and I asked them, why can't the kids play on the playground? And they told me because they didn't have anyone to guard the playground. Like my baby was in a prison. That moment, I let my son do whatever he wanted. From that point on, I was searching for liberation for my baby. And I let my baby climb on statues, light posts. If we were walking outside of a building and it had that big flower pot with rocks in it, we was taking rocks and we was going home and we were gonna paint them. And I was looking for activities and things for him to be in. I just knew he had to see the world. I just knew I had to do so much more for him. And one of the things I did was I enrolled him in a swimming class at Howman Recreation Center, on the east side. And so we're there, and it's about the first or second class of the swim class for him. And I'm sitting about 15 meters away from him and the pool instructor. So I see my baby really confident. He's excited. He's in 3 feet of water. And the the swim instructor starts to guide my son from 3 feet into 10 feet water. I'm trusting the process. He has his hand. He's guiding my son to hold on to the side of the pool and inch himself along to 10 feet. I'm watching. When my son gets over to 10 feet, this man grabs the top of my son's head and thrust it down into 10 feet of water while yelling at him, touch the bottom. Don't get up until you touch the bottom. I feel like I'm falling into the concrete on the side of the pool. I am being sucked into something. I'm watching this man murder my child, and I have a front row seat. I am losing my shit. I get the courage, and my feet feel like I have cement on them. I'm walking over to my baby to get him from this man. And as I'm walking over to him, I get my son safely out of the pool. This lesson is over. We have to go. He got to get back in this water. You gonna make him soft. This man rises up above me and is talking to me like we are about to go head to head. I'm safely walking away, getting my son out of this pool, getting my son out of Howman Recreation Center and into the car. And as we're riding home, I'm apologizing to my son. I'm apologizing when we get home. For 2 months straight, I am on the phone with psychiatrics, therapists, doctors. I'm trying to get diagnosed with a mental illness because I am losing my shit. I just am so traumatized from watching this man hurt my child like this. If I knew how to murder somebody in that moment, I would have killed him. And I would be standing here telling you a different story today, okay? So after that, this situation happens in October. By December, I am done with Detroit. I am done with the community, and I was born and raised here. I'm over it. I'm looking for greener grass. By December, me and my children, well, I was pregnant, so I fell in love at some point. And, and I was pregnant. And by the time I get to Royal Oak to see if the grass is greener. And there are parks all around us. They're within a 10-minute walk of every direction of our home. And my son can ride his bike to school. He doesn't have to lock it up. and all their lawns are manicured. We, have access to downtown. So I'm thinking we're in a good spot. I find out that the school does not have Black History Month, and my son is 1 out of 20 Black kids in the school. There are also no Black teachers. One day we're walking home, and I asked my son, how's school? We're just talking, and he tells me, school is good, but I wish, she wouldn't take me out of class. Who's taking you out of class? Well, the teacher's taking me out of class. Well, what does she say? She just says, it's not like that. Of course, I go and have a meeting with the school. So I'm meeting with the principal and the teacher, and we're having this conversation, and she's telling me how much she loves my son and how bright he is. Sounds great. So I asked her, is there any moment during your instruction where you take a child out of the classroom and isolate him away from the rest of his peers? This white face turns completely red. She starts going on in high pitch, so much so that me and the principal kind of look at each other and kind of give a head nod. That didn't happen much more after that. While this is happening, I'm experiencing racism at work, and my son is experiencing it in our new greener grass. When he was in 3rd grade, he got hit in the head with a water bottle, and it gave him a scar. And I went to the school again to talk about what had took place. He was told to apologize for getting hit. And so, of course, I went and I had a conversation. But I don't remember all that happened in that exchange, but I knew that that target that my baby had become 50 feet tall and 80 feet wide, because when I left out of there, wasn't no more conversation about what was gonna be happening with him. So I knew he had to go. I knew he had to go because I was gonna hurt somebody. And so shortly after that, COVID happened. And so I was able to enroll him into an online program. While COVID was taking place, my little baby that I had was 2 years old at the time. And we're all at home together, uninterrupted time with my babies. And my 2-year-old is exploring creatively all over the house. He's finding every pencil, crayon, and marker he can find. And he's going across our living room walls, our bedroom walls, my son's walls. And I'm finding it ineffable. I can't even describe how beautiful and how in love I was with just seeing this side of my son come out in that moment. I was just so celebratory of his creativity and him exploring it and him being safe, and we ain't gotta worry about racism, and we taking walks, and we were just together during this really trying and horrible time, but I didn't have to worry about so many things that I always have to worry about when it comes to my kids. And I started collecting and writing notes about these moments that me and my children were sharing together. And in 2022, I created my first book, my first children's book, and it's called Me and My, and it's really an inspiration of my children and their drawing and their writings and all the things that I've learned from them and that they've learned from me and that I've learned from watching them learn from each other. And it's just really a beautiful memento of just capturing those times with them and my appreciation for them being in my lives. Now, 2024, my older son is 13, my baby is 5, and just Saturday while we were riding home in the car, my 5-year-old shares with me that his teacher has physically assaulted him at school. This was 6 days ago. I remember when things like this would happen and I would freeze and I would fall into floors. Now I just stand tall and I call my lawyer. We on speed dial, and this is where we at. I have learned so much from my children, and I've realized that I am the safe space. I understand what the world is and what it's not and what it could be. I am the safe place. And I just want to honor all the mothers in this room and out in the world who are the safe places for their babies. Thank you.
Ebony Jones. Oh, I wish I was as good a mother as she. Thank you for that. They are so lucky. All of your children are lucky. All right, your last storyteller for the evening. I ask, what makes you unconventional? She said, from a teenage mother who started with nothing to creating a dynasty for her children, with and for her children. Put your hands together for September Faison.
Yeah, that might be all right. July 29th, 1999. I'm 18 years old, just graduated from Kettering the year prior, and now I'm laying in a hospital bed, admiring my beautiful baby girl, Carlia. I lived with my mom at the time, who within a few months decided to pack up and move to another state. I have no job, barely any money, no car, and a baby. But I'm not mad, because honestly, I was a terrible teenager. So she was probably sick of my shit. And besides, I'm grown. She did her job, right? It's time for her to live her own life. But what am I supposed to do? Carlia and I, we moved around for a little while. Ended up staying with my best friend. She's about 1 at this time. I still have no job, no money, no car. I didn't even have a driver's license. But I knew I needed to do something, and fast, because I have a baby to take care of. My best friend was an exotic dancer at the time. She said, hey, you can come check it out, see how you like it, and we'll go from there. I mean, honestly, what did I have to lose at this point, right? So that night I went to work with her. And when I walked in, I felt like I was in a movie players club. There were men, women, young, old, all nationalities, endless amounts of liquor. Music blaring, lights flashing, and money everywhere. Ladies on stage with their 6-inch heels and G-strings sliding up and down the pole. I mean, it was intense. And I loved it. I said, now where do I sign up? I took the next couple days to get my stripper gear together, my heels and my G-string and my fancy bra, and I was ready. I admit that first night, it was a bit scary. Had to get dressed in this wide open room with all these strange women, and had to trust that none of them were gonna touch my stuff, because we ain't trying to bust no heads on the first night, right? But got myself together, headed upstairs to where all the action was, took a couple deep breaths, and started to work the room. Hey, lap dance after lap dance until I heard Strawberry coming to the stage. Yes, that's the name I gave myself because I was oh so sweet. I got on stage, closed my eyes, and just let the music move me. When my set was over, I opened my eyes, and it was money all over the place. I thought to myself, like, hold on, is all of this for me? Man, do you know how many packs of diapers, wipes, how much food I could buy with this? Rent? Stop playing. I collected my proceeds and exited stage left. The end of the night, we gathered our belongings, tipped the DJ, and we left. We got to the house, counted my cash. It came out to a couple $100.
I said, now hold on. You mean to tell me all I gotta do is wiggle my way around the room for a couple hours and come out with hundreds of dollars? Best friend said, yeah. It's a wrap. Next couple months, I was cool. Didn't have to dance with my eyes closed. And I had like 3 or 4 regular customers that would follow me around to wherever bar I was dancing at. And a few months later, baby and I were able to move into our own apartment. Life was good. Fast forward, 2002, I'm pregnant with my son, Dante. Now, within about 3 months, yes, I'm still dancing. And baby daddy was right there with me. I was dancing for a gentleman off to the side, and baby daddy just happened to be standing right next to us. The guy put his hand on my stomach. Baby daddy looked. It wasn't anger though. It was the look of pain. And in that moment, I knew that was the end of my nightlife. I didn't work for the rest of my pregnancy. So I just went from making hundreds of dollars a night to depending on him and the government to pay my bills. I didn't like that. But January 2003, it's time to get back to the money. But the club life was officially a thing of the past, so I had to resort to getting a regular job. I was hired as a security guard. My first post was the Super Kmart on 7 Mile and Myers. The store was in the, I know, right? The store was in the process of closing. We were in charge of checking receipts, bags, shopping carts. These people will fill their carts, stuff, dude, I know you didn't pay for none of this. They would try to run past, I just let them go. Fool, I'm not about to chase you. I couldn't wait for that store to close. When it did, the company moved me around for a little while. Then after about 2 years, they placed me somewhere more stable. I was assigned to a major financial institution where we covered the bank branches, main cash vault. Finally, some action. I was armed, y'all. And not with a little flashlight either. They trusted the kid with a whole 6-shooter, and that was top flight security 2.0. And we had actual tactical training, right? We went to the gun range on a regular basis, CPR training, and pepper spray. These people sprayed me in the face with pepper spray. I took it like a G, but that shit hurt. At the end of the day, there were only 2 black women standing, me and another young lady, surrounded by ex-police, ex-corrections officers, ex-military, all of the Caucasian persuasion, might I add. And we were responsible for covering the buildings, the money, and escorting visitors as they came in. And I must say, carrying a weapon made me feel a bit empowered. And I actually enjoyed my job. Every week, my name was all over that OT list. But baby daddy wasn't always available to watch the kids. So sometimes I felt it was okay to have my fairly capable 5-year-old watch her slightly mischievous 2-year-old brother. Understand, when I was dancing and mommy needed to get some sleep, she took care of herself. She fixed her something to eat. She found what she wanted to watch on TV. She knew not to open the door for anybody for any reason and to never, ever, ever touch the stove. Right? So, in my mind, and I may have been a bit naive in thinking that she could take care of him too. My bad, because it was not a good idea. There was so many times she would call me and I would be on the run with an escort, a visitor. I would have to move out of camera view so headquarters wouldn't see me on the phone. Mommy, come get him. Mommy, he not listening to me. Mommy, mommy, mommy. Final straw. Mommy, he stuck tissue all down the sink and that was water everywhere. Put him on the phone. Get your ass! And that's probably the only thing he understood because I was gritting my teeth so hard, right? Yeah, I had to get babysitters after that. And no tea for me that day. She knew to turn the water off, so when I got home a couple hours later, it was just water all over the bathroom floor instead of the whole house. Unfortunately, 2008, we lost the contract to another security company. But I was okay because I worked a lot, like sometimes 60, 70 hours a week. So I needed to spend some time with my babies anyway. And you know, people would always ask me, so you having more kids? For what? I have a girl and a boy. There is nothing else. Especially because I was always the one who said, I'm not having kids. So when I got pregnant with my daughter, I said, now who in their right mind thought it was a good idea for me, of all people, to be in charge of another living organism? I mean, seriously. But here we are, 9 years after having my son, April 1st of all days, 2012. I just gave birth to another beautiful baby girl, Miss Camilla Sky. Now, what am I supposed to do with 3 kids? Luckily, Carlia and Dante were old enough to help out a little bit. And after almost 14 years of being gone, my mother is back in Detroit. So I had some help, and I thank God for it, because sheesh. When Camilla was about 4, I started working downtown as an auditor for a major title company, and they worked us like slaves. It was cool because we could leave. I could pick the kids up, drop them off, take them where they needed to go, or even bring them back to the office with me sometime, right? It was kind of kid-friendly, super convenient, but that was just their way of making sure that I was on the clock morning, afternoon, evening, and weekends with no excuses. Crazy, right? But after a while, they started to change the way they ran their program. And it was no longer fun for me or the kids. And at that point, I realized I don't want to work for nobody else. And I kept hearing my mama's voice, you need to stop working so much. She was right. So, 2017, I sat the kids down, signed them with a task. If you had your own business, what would you do? What would you sell? What would you create? Dante said, I make my own soap. Okay. So we started to do some research, and then Carlia came with the body butter. I said, oh, I'm loving this. Soon after, the 4K Dynasty LLC was born, and we had our own natural skincare product line. I was auditing, slanging product. Auditing, slanging product. My co-workers were hooked. My kitchen looked like a factory. Even baby girl had a mixing bowl in her hand. 2020, right before COVID. I said, now, the big kids, they got this skincare game on lock. But what about the baby? What is she supposed to do, right? Puzzles. Started to look into how we can make our own puzzles. And that turned into a whole custom print business, right? Then the world shut down. The company had us working from home, and I took full advantage. I was doing more 4K Dynasty work than auditing. So by the time the pandemic was over, and they said, okay, y'all can come back to the office now. Not this one. I got a taste of what real full-time entrepreneurship look like. I ain't never coming back. And I never did. By this time, the custom print phase was over, and we decided to just stick with our original game plan. And now, the 4K Dynasty has a full line of natural luxury bath and body products, skincare, self-care, hair care products coming soon. And although I do most of the work, we work together as a team to get things done, right? And when I'm not running the business, I am focused on my writing, performing as a spoken word artist, and life coach. I use my experiences and expertise from the painful moments in my past to help others heal from their emotional trauma. And I am proud to say that my babies are doing exceptionally well. Miss Carlia, now 24. I know, right? She is here in Michigan, but will be relocating with the rest of us in Houston very soon, where she will be relaunching her esteemed custom wig making business, Persuasion Beauty Co. Dante is a very successful 21-year-old Forex trader, professional gambler is what he calls it, and licensed real estate agent for the state of Texas. And thank you. And Miss Camilla Sky is an extremely talented 12-year-old artist and jewelry maker. You see him at Beads by Mia. Oh, child, listen, being a mother is hard. It is stressful. It is like ridiculous, right? It's probably the toughest thing I've ever done in my entire life. But it is also the most fun and rewarding, and you learn so much, not just about them, but about yourself as well. And we've definitely had some adventures, some good times and some bad times, but we are absolutely each other's biggest supporters, right? As mothers, we do whatever we have to do. And we sacrifice whatever we have to sacrifice to make sure our babies are good. And if I had to do it all over again, absolutely.
September Faison. Key Glover. Latonya Garth. Ebony Jones. The Renaissance High School Dance Workshop. And Angela Huff. Final bows. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for listening, being so generous. Come back for our last show of this half of the season next month. Honor Thy Father with one of our great board members, Jacob Walker, hosting and curating 4 fantastic fathers. Come on back, y'all.